So when we're looking at a man wanting to be able to last as long as he wants in bed and have complete control of ejaculation, um, I think the first thing to look at, if we go at it from a Western medicine perspective, there's this thing, it's called the autonomic nervous system, and it's basically what regulates the involuntary bodily functions, including the breathing, the heart rate, hormone production, and so on. And probably most people have not heard of the autonomic nervous system, but what we have heard of is what's called flight and fight mode, and then the opposite being relax and enjoy mode. Okay, so these are like ancient functions going back to when humans first evolved out of monkeys. If indeed we did evolve out of monkeys, but we can imagine thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years ago in the jungle. We had little to worry about. We'd have a relaxed life. We didn't have jobs to go to and the kind of pressures we have now. But occasionally we might see a tiger, and then, flight or fight would kick in. The adrenal glands would activate, the heart rate beat, the breathing would speed up. We'd suddenly get superhuman strength. We'd run, climb up a tree. The tiger would be gone. 2 minutes later, we start breathing and we relax again. And this is how this was supposed to function. And when we look at people living like in tribal Stone Age sort of natural situations, they can probably be in relax and enjoy for 95 to 99% of the time. Okay, fast forward to modern living, and very often people are actually stuck permanently in flight or fight, which they don't even realize, And certainly most people, I would say, they're not aware of the difference between flight and fight, or relax and enjoy, basically, because the lines have become so blurred, So sometimes, a lot of the time people are overproducing adrenaline. It's also to do with like coffee drinking and taking other stimulants.
And all the agitation of news and like I gotta get to work, or even driving at 60 miles an hour on the freeway. I've heard that doctors say, the normal brainwave state is beta, but that's actually an agitated brain state. Like our normal actual brain state, like you're saying, is that relax and enjoy state is really alpha. But most of us are in beta, so that's consistent with what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like bullying at work, competition, pressure, is all coming, for the majority of jobs people have, it's coming from a negative place rather than the pressure of, I really love this and I really want to do the best job that I possibly can. Is a kind of pressure that this guy there might be getting more sales than you or whatever, and it's like really, really harmful, basically. So a lot of people, they just don't know if they're even stuck in flight or fight and relax and enjoy. Now, when it comes down to sex, imagine you're in flight or fight and you're running away from a tiger in the jungle, okay? Your body's not going to go, I'm going to prioritize lasting a long time in bed. Or for a woman, it's not going to prioritize having an orgasm, which is why you tend to get the problem in males of premature ejaculation to do with flight or fight, or with women not having an orgasm. And it's just a huge amount of it is to do with our ability to relax, Now, when we talk about relaxation, there's very few people who really are able to relax, completely. Like if we can completely relax, we can actually literally unblock all our energy meridians, It's incredible what we can do just with relaxing. Now, there's a really, really cool hack here to know, about how to tell if you're in flight or fight and how to put yourself into relax and enjoy. Okay. So let's look at the breathing here, because the breathing is something we can easily take control of, right? Okay. So if we understand, we have the lungs up here. Okay, so the lungs are here. And at the bottom of the rib cage, right here, we have a muscle, which is called the thoracic diaphragm. Okay. So when we're in relax and enjoy, if you want to just put your hand on your belly. So viewers, try this, the hand on the belly. And we're going to inhale. And check out what your hand is doing. If your hand is rising and falling, you're in relax and enjoy.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
Now, when we're in flight or fight, we're going to breathe up here. And do you notice the difference when you're breathing up here and breathing down there, how different that feels? Okay. So
I have a question. Is there a difference between breathing through the nose and breathing through the mouth as well? Are those related?
Okay. if you're trying to do the breathing and you want to relax, I would say breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, sometimes breathing out with a sound. And just as we breathe out, just visualize all the tension leaving the body. So I love to practice this just lying on my back and just feeling with every breath like I'm releasing. And it will definitely come up like emotions and sensations in my body that are, not so pleasant, but as I breathe them out, my body just feels greater and greater, and I just start almost like vibrating, it's so nice, basically, So anyways, so the first thing is start checking your breathing and becoming aware of your breath. This is no like fancy breathing exercise, counting or whatever. It's literally just keep checking during the day. Are you in flight or fight, or are you in relax and enjoy? And if you're in flight or fight, start just sending the message to breathe, to this thoracic diaphragm to pull down and to breathe so your belly expands out. So when we're actually breathing into the belly, what happens is the thoracic diaphragm pushes down into the organs, and with each breath it's actually giving like our internal organs a nice little massage and helping the blood flow there.
Okay.
And even more amazing, right? When we're breathing into the belly, what's happening is the pelvic floor is very, very gently releasing, contracting, releasing and contracting. So what that means is it's exercising, basically.
So the pelvic floor is down here.
Yeah, exactly. So the pelvic floor is by the anus, by the sexual organs. It's basically the muscles that hold all our internal organs in place. And of course has a lot to do with sexual experience. So we definitely want those muscles to be strong, because otherwise the internal organs can actually fall out. Prolapse, basically.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So
is that a hernia as well? Is that called a hernia?
I mean, you can have a hernia coming out here, but sometimes you can see a video of like a weightlifter and they've prolapsed out through the anus. Some intestines have come out, and women can get prolapses of the uterus coming down as well. So it's really important to exercise the pelvic floor, and the best way is simply by breathing into your belly. So I recommend like every day to practice. Like I try to practice before going to bed, at night, before falling asleep, in the morning. First thing, I try to just do like a little bit of breathing, into the belly, and just set myself into that state of be in relax and enjoy, And of course, things will stress us out during the day. Most of those things don't actually need to stress us out, but we're so programmed to be stressed, But when we keep just resetting, it's almost like telling the body, okay, you can relax, you can be okay about things, Yeah.
Beautiful.
So then if we come to sexual experiences, for so many people, for most of the people, there's been like conditioned into us like a really strong correlation between the sexual energy and the need to feel guilty, the need to feel ashamed, So say, for example, if someone's got an office job, they're sitting in the office and they start feeling horny, maybe about one of their colleagues, for example, the instant reaction is, oh my God, I shouldn't be feeling like this, and to try to repress the sexual energy, which then leads to actually, because when we're trying to repress the sexual energy, it will just keep coming up stronger and stronger and stronger, So then as the people keep, repressing the energy, it's almost like when you have a child and you keep shouting at the child, it's trying to say something to you, you just shout, shut up at the child, It's a similar thing. So the sexual energy is wanting to, rear its head again and again. But because there's, even like completely unconsciously with most people, will kind of just go, ooh, it's not the right time for you. And we're repressing it down there. What we're doing is we're creating a lot of tension in the sexual area, basically, Whereas there is another way to experience the sexual energy, because when we feel the sexual energy, obviously there's so much association between, I'm thinking sexually about this person, it's like a bad of me to think that, But if we actually invite the energy up into the body, what it does, it doesn't actually make us pervy. What it actually does is it transforms into loving energy. So actually, when we are giving tantric massage, this is the way we manage our own sexual energy, so we don't take advantage of our client, is we actually allow the energy to come up into the body, and into the heart and transform it into love, basically.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I mean,
how is that done on a kind of moment to moment basis? Because I mean, I've certainly heard of ways, but maybe you can explain to how you feel into doing that. How do you move the energy to your heart?
so I guess the most simple way, that's like my favorite way at the moment, is just the simple when we bring our attention into our heart. So everywhere we put our attention, the energy is going to flow. So there's a ancient Taoist exercise, and this is like one of the coolest hacks I've ever heard. And it's basically the exercise of building self-love. So what we do is we just put the hand over the heart, shut our eyes, and with the eyes shut, we turn the gaze inward and into the heart. So we're really bringing our attention into our heart. And then we can just smile to our heart. And as we smile to the heart, it's very similar to when we see someone and they smile to us. And we start to feel relaxation and opening in our heart. So what we're actually doing is we're opening the electromagnetic field in our heart. And we're getting that feeling of self-love growing inside our heart. So when we've got that feeling of the open heart and the strong electromagnetic field, the heart will literally be pulling the sexual energy up. So it's like we've created a magnet, and the magnet is just pulling that energy up. So that's, I think, the most simple, and I love this, like, just smile to your heart and just say I love you to your heart.
I could really feel it as I was closing my eyes, and I could feel like this energy from different areas of the body come into my heart, and I could just be really present with the sensation of my heart. I could feel my hand on my chest and then feel that warm energy in my heart. I could feel it. It was palpable.
Because wherever our attention goes, the energy will flow. So just opening the heart. I mean, there's a lot of like fancy ways of doing it. Like there's the microcosmic orbit, which maybe I can share about on another one of these master classes. But this is just the most simple way. Anyone can do it. And just when we relax and breathe, so when we've got tension here, it will stop the energy moving up. But just by relaxing, breathing into the belly and smiling to the heart, we can really allow that energy to start moving, because that is the natural thing for it to do. So it wants to do that. We just need to let it.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
So that's the energy moving, and then there's physiologically things happening down there too, right? I know when I'm super excited, or even just getting excited is one thing too. I'm 55 and I haven't had the same sexual responses. When I was a teenager, I would be like standing up in class and I'd be like, oh my God, I got a hard on, and that happens less often as people age, as men age. Maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I would love to hear your perspective on that. But there's more intentionality into like creating the erection and enjoying the erection. And maybe you could talk about that. And then also when we get into actual lovemaking, the excitement can be like, oh, so good. And it's also often, playing with that energy without going too far is fun.
Yeah. So I mean, physiologically speaking, the breath is so important, to keep us calm, because basically when a man is going to ejaculate, what happens is his heart rate increases and his breathing increases. But through the breath, we can control the heart rate. So basically, through slowing down your breathing, becoming aware of your heart rate, slowing it down, and being really present in your body, you can have like a huge effect over it, But then, so if we're going to look at it then from the Taoist perspective, so in Taoism and in Tantra, they talk about the heart chakra, the sexual chakra. In Taoism, we talk about the heart center. So this being the two halves of sex is the love energy in the heart, and what we call the orgasmic energy, which is in basically the sexual chakra, which is where the womb is on the woman. And we talk about the need to have the two balanced, So if we look at a relationship, for example, there's some relationships where the people really love each other, but there's no sex. Obviously, that's problematic. If you have a relationship where there's all sex and no love, at the same time, that's problematic, you know, as well. So what we look to do is balance between the love energy and the sexual energy. Now, when we've been through like a whole life of negative programming around sex, you know, fears of like not being good enough. So a lot of men, you know, feel a lot of pressure about how they should perform sexually. Yet there's like a real lack of information about what is good. Plus, you know, I think because of this pressure, a lot of men, they don't want to ask the woman, you know, because they're worried she's going to go, oh, don't you know, you know. And at the same time, the woman is shy to say, or maybe she doesn't even know her body well enough to kind of know what she wants, you know. So a lot of people are actually entering into sex with a certain level, you know, of stress happening, basically, you know. So keeping the relaxation is really important. And then being aware, you know, you're feeling sexual energy. Are you feeling love energy? You know, I find like if I'm feeling a lot of sexual energy, I need to just smile to my heart and make sure that I'm keeping the two energy centers equal, you know, because then what they do is they feed energy to each other. So the sexual energy comes up and nourishes the love energy and the heart. And the love energy comes down and basically gives love to the sexual organs. So keeping the two basically in sync together is like super important.
And I know you can bring your heart and your head into sync through gratitude. And it sounds like bringing the heart and the sex into sync is more through just opening our heart. Is that right? Or
I would say, like, for the majority of people, obviously, you know, it depends on us on an individual basis, you know. So if we find like our sexual energy is completely shut down, you know, for some people that's the case. You can also smile to your sexual organs. But with the majority of people I work with, the sexual energy is kind of there, but maybe the heart is shut down, you know. So spending time, you know, talking, looking in the eye is a really good way to open the heart. Actually, when two people are sitting, you know, opposite each other with the hearts facing each other, about a meter away, so more or less the distance we are away from each other, this basically opens up both the hearts and creates a connection together. You know, so spending plenty of time before you're making love. And if you're self-pleasuring, absolutely smile to your heart. Tell your heart, I love you, and self-pleasure from a sense of real self-love and actually feeling like you're falling in love with yourself as you self-pleasure. And this is like healthy self-pleasuring, basically.
Gorgeous.
You know?
Yeah. That feels like it's like very nourishing, not just pleasurable, but nourishing, you know, and coming into wholeness, you know, as a person.
Yeah. And that's what sex should be. It's just really unfortunate that for the past few thousand years we've been dominated by religions that have told us, you know, the sex is shameful and to kind of separate it from the rest of our being, because really it is like our life force energy, and it's only when we can really come into like a totally harmonious relationship with it that we're really going to be able to fulfill our potential, because it's our superpower in a sense, you know.
Yeah, it's I know a little bit about the Gnostics who were teaching sexual alchemy, and then Constantine, who was a pagan Roman emperor, who basically became like Christian, but ended up destroying the Gnostics, who were teaching, you know, the sexual alchemy. So that became a way for power and control, no longer through warring armies, but through repressing sexuality. And that, of course, became, you know, what we know today as the Christianity, even though this part of Christianity, which was the Gnostic sexual alchemy, was part of Christianity too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a tendency in us as humans, because when we look at sexual energy, it's so, you know, it's so volatile and it's so crazy, and it's easy to look at it kind of a bit like a volcano and go, ooh, I want to pretend you don't exist, you know? But even, for example, if we look at Islam, which has a reputation for being quite, you know, a lot of people might think it's quite anti-sex, but there's actually, you know, there's some stories of the Prophet Muhammad actually going into the mosque and telling men, don't pray here so much, go home and have sex with your wife, you know. And Jesus certainly was very much into, I think, love as well, you know. So yeah, I think like when it's almost like our egos are actually saying, you know, ooh, you know, we want to be more powerful than sex. You know, we want to overpower it, but really it's like, it's, you know, it's part of us and we need to have a relationship with it.
It's actually a tremendous energy that we can embrace. It's like a power plant of rejuvenation.
Yeah, it's an energy generator basically, you know. So when we cut off from our sexual energy, we're actually just cutting off from our energy, you know. So yeah, I just think, you know, it's so central to who we are. You can't look at any aspect of yourself and separate it from your sexual being. You know, it's everywhere, and we can use sexual energy. Obviously, we can use it to heal our bodies. So when it comes up into our hearts and it comes into our heart center, it will transform, and we can use it to heal our whole, you know, our whole body on a cellular level, heal our glands, rejuvenate our body. We can put it into creativity. We can put it into business. We can put it into anything that we're trying to create. You know, when we do this from the sense of love, it's just such a powerful thing, you know, and love really is the key to sexual transmutation.
Beautiful,
you know.
Beautiful. Well, this has been super helpful for me so far,